Hello, this is The Bittersweet Life. I'm Katie Sewell.
I'm Tiffany Parks. And today we have a bonus episode for you for all of our amazing supporters on Patreon and PayPal. Thank you so much, as always, for supporting us. So today I was thinking, Katie, as I made myself a pot of tea this morning, as I do every day, that there is something in a typical American household, and definitely in British households, that you do not find in Italy, and that is the tea kettle.
Oh.
Whether it's a electric plug-it-in-the-wall kettle or a sit-it-on-the-stove kettle. Now, there are exceptions. There are going to be Italian houses out there that have them, but it's not something that you're going to find in every house. And I think it's pretty rare, actually, to find. And it drives me insane every time I'm over at my mother-in-law's, and, you know, we're not just there for a quick meal, but we're there for maybe like the afternoon, and I want to make a cup of tea, and I have to boil my water in a pan. It's just not the same. It's just not the same.
Why is that, though? Is that because they make their coffee like little espresso shots on the stove, and that's all they need?
Italians are not tea people. They don't really do tea. They think they do. They think they know what tea is. And I mean, you could say Americans think we know what tea is, and the British people would say we don't. But, you know, they'll heat. If I go to my son's mom's, my son's mom, I'm crazy. My son's best friend's mom's house, so sometimes do when they're playing together, and she'll be like, "Oh, can I make you a cup of tea?" And she'll get, you know, she'll like pull out 2 or 3 boxes of herbal tea, put it in the cup with half a cup full of water, and put it in the microwave until it's tepid. Okay, what am I supposed to do with this? I mean, I'm not here to talk about tea and be a tea snob. I'm here to talk about this got me thinking. What are the things that a typical American house will almost always have, but you're not going to find in Italy, and vice versa? What do we have in Italian homes that we don't see in American homes? It turns out there's a lot.
Okay, well, get us started, because nothing's popping off the top of my head, but I will see if I can come up with something.
Well, yeah. I mean, I've spent a lot of time in Italian houses. I think that's why. But, you know, I will say that probably more than these are more older people's houses. I think the younger generation, you might not come across all of these same things. But another thing that is totally you cannot find in Italy, or at least you have to like look for it, and it's so ubiquitous in America, you would never even think, is a box of Kleenex.
Oh.
In Italy, they buy these big packets, and within the big packet are little packets. They're the little packet Kleenex that you like put in your handbag. Mm-hmm. But that's the only tissues that they have. Even if you're home and you have a cold, you're using the little tissues from the tissue packet. And I find it such a waste of plastic, you know?
Yeah.
And it's more expensive, I believe. I would assume that it's more expensive just by the way it's packaged. And so my husband had a cold a couple weeks ago, and I went to the pharmacy and I had to get him some stuff. And I said, "Do you have like a box of Kleenex?" And she just, you know, or I said tissue, you know, she looked at me funny and she was like, "What?" I'm like, "You know, like a box? Like a box, not the little packets, like an actual cardboard box with tissues that you pull out the top." And one of the other ones was like, "You know, I think we do have one of those, like in the back." And like she went and like looked for it and she found it. But the first pharmacist couldn't even picture what I was talking about.
That's interesting.
And when Claudio saw it, he's like, What is this for? Like, what is this?" And I was like, "It's a box of Kleenex." He's like, "Yeah, but I can't take it around with me." I was like, "Yeah, but you're sick. You're at home right now. You're off of work. Like, use the box of Kleenex."
I love the idea that you can't take it around with you either. I come from a family that tends to put Kleenex not only in every single room, every single bathroom, at least, but I believe my sisters both have Kleenex boxes in their cars.
Oh my gosh.
And I know that they also often get very frustrated with me because I tend to be in the school of, "Oh, you can just use the toilet paper. It's fine. Unless you're really ill, you know, and it gets too scratchy."
Yeah.
But that's so funny. How weird. Just when you were saying that, I thought of one.
Okay.
That I remember from living in Italy is that you don't have and sorry, men, you don't have the tampon variety that we have in the United States. As far as I know, you have 2 types. Tampax, which, you know, sucks, and OB,
yeah,
which has no applicator.
Right.
So I know this is far too much detail for our male listeners, but I thought that was so interesting, and actually I felt like it made a lot of sense. Why so many options? Here you can have a gazillion brands, you can have applicators in hot pink, green, blue, whatever you want, and
I know.
a million different sizes. Yeah, it made a lot of sense to me to pare it down a little bit. But when I first got there, I thought that was unusual and strange.
Yes, it is a little bit odd. We're going to go the other way too and go into, and since we're on the more like, intimate hygiene subject, we might as well get this over with. Going the other way, Americans do not have bidets.
That's true.
You don't have the bidet. And in Italy, like, that is unthinkable. It's unthinkable to have a home without a bidet, to have a bathroom without a bidet. Every bathroom, more or less, has one because people use them every time they go to the bathroom, or at least every time they go number 2, you use the bidet. And it's so funny because I come across Americans, particularly like I'm thinking of my mom and my sister, who like find the bidet embarrassing. Just to even almost even to talk about it is embarrassing. And they're like, what do you, like, you use that thing? And I'm like, it's grosser to not use it than to use it, right?
You know what we do have though now?
What?
Is bidet attachments.
Okay, yes, I've heard about that. That.
And of course, most houses don't have them yet, but we have one.
Oh, do you?
Yes.
Interesting. Okay, that's cool.
But it's funny that you say that because I don't usually watch commercial television, but I had the occasion of being in a hotel a few weeks back, and I often will flip through the channels when I'm at a hotel because I'm, it's almost like being a voyeur. You're like, what are people thinking about and watching? And they have, a whole station that is just home repair, home remodel shows. And I just flipped past one that I actually thought of you and laughed because the people who bought it, part of their remodel request was you've got to remove this bidet to the contractor. So they took one out on this show. And the contractor, trying to make a joke, I guess, turned it into a planter and stuck it out by their pool out back.
And they hate it.
But I did think of you.
Yes.
Because, yes, that's a very American thing to have a bidet and remove it.
Yes. Well, not to go too far off a tangent, but there was a fantastic blog, which doesn't exist anymore, called Senza Bidet, which literally means without bidet, that was written by this Italian woman who had, married an American, moved to the United States, had these 2 American children, lived in the United States. She was hilarious. She should have had her own book. She was so funny. And her constant theme that she constantly returned to was like, why do they not have bidets here? Why? It doesn't make any sense. But they don't. And another thing that you don't see as much in America, you do see it, but in Italy it's ubiquitous, is the removable shower head that you then use to like spray yourself down. Mm-hmm. Those pretty much every bathtub will have that for sure, like without exception. And most showers have that too, but you are getting to be in the more modern houses, you might not have it in the shower. You might have like the giant shower head and just that. But most places there is no shower head as far as like attached to the wall. It's just the handheld thing that hooks somewhere.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
But in the older Italian houses, you didn't even have the hook.
Yeah, it's just
which I'm like, explain to me. Explain how I am supposed to do this without totally drenching the bathroom. Because half the time there's no shower. Like if it's a bathtub, there's no shower door. Like there's no shower curtain and there's no shower door. There's just this handheld shower head and no hook to put it on. And I'm like, how do I do this? Like, do I sit down while I'm taking a shower? Do I sit down in the empty bathtub while I'm taking a shower? Because otherwise I'm going to flood the bathroom. I mean, maybe I'm just clumsy. I could never figure out how to do that.
It's kind of like the old clawfoot tubs that always used to just have the handle.
Yes, but usually you'd have the shower and the bathtub in the same bathroom, in the States anyway.
That's true.
But here it's usually one or the other. Another thing you're going to see in Italy that you're not going to see in the States is the espresso cups, the little tiny cups. This is something that's so ubiquitous in Italy. You just see everywhere. Everybody's got, and usually they're hanging up somewhere because they're so tiny. You have little hooks to hang them on. And in America, you just don't have anything that size unless it's a shot glass.
Are they souvenirs?
No, I mean, they might be, but usually people usually have a set of espresso cups. I collect them. I collect them from different, famous cafes in Rome. So they have the name of the cafe or the name of the brand of coffee on them. But you can also get like a little set, like a matching set. Most people have a matching set that someone bought for them at some point. And
Gotcha.
They're just, and they have the matching saucer, and that's what you drink your coffee from.
Yeah.
They don't have mugs. That's another thing. You don't see mugs very often. Mugs are souvenirs. And I bring my mother-in-law and my sister-in-law mugs from the States sometimes, or they bought them. I remember when we all went together, they bought these big coffee mugs with the American flag on it or Route 66, and they don't use them. They sit in the cupboard and they never use them. And they don't have any reason to use them because they don't drink hot beverages that are that big.
Interesting.
So
very interesting.
they just don't use it. There's so many things, Katie. When I started thinking about this, I was like,
let's can we do a rapid fire?
Let's do rapid fire. Okay, things in America you won't find in Italy. The dryer, there's always a few exceptions. A toaster, garbage disposal, zero, doesn't exist. Built-in closets that are actually built into the wall that just are there when you move in. You have no idea what a luxury that is. That is a huge luxury. If you live in Italy, you have to go and buy yourself a 2,000 or 3,000 euro ginormous armadio, an armoire that has to be assembled by 5 people. It's so huge, you could never move it. You could never move that thing. You spend all this money on it and it's just going to stay there. You're never going to be able to take it with you. And that's it. That's what you have. You have an armadio. It's just depressing. An ice machine on your fridge doesn't happen here. Just lighting that is installed, just light fixtures that are sunk into the ceiling. You know what I mean by that?
Yeah. I'm some in my office right above me.
Yeah, you just twist no, you have to buy the fixtures, either track lighting or actual hanging lamps. Measuring cups.
Yeah.
Never seen them. Never seen measuring cups over here.
Wow.
Never. Yep. And wall-to-wall carpet.
Many of those things, not all, but many of those I would miss. When I lived over there, particularly the dryer.
Yes.
Because there is a crispness that your clothes get when you dry them in the air. And I'm not sure why it's crisper, or if the dryer just beats the clothes up enough that they're softer or something, but I never got used to the crisp underpants of living in Italy.
Well, I'll tell you what the bonus of not using a dryer is. Your clothes last way longer.
I see that, but then you always have to look at them while you're in the living room.
Well, I mean, we hang ours outside, so if you have a balcony, you can hang them outside.
That's helpful.
Yeah.
I did not have a balcony when I lived in Rome.
That's true.
The laundry was just part of our decorations.
It's hard when you're living in a small space, and especially in the wintertime.
Yes.
Because the clothes take forever to dry, and you got all this humidity in the house because of it.
Mm-hmm.
Couple more things that you don't see in America that are standard in Italy. One of them is tablecloths. I mean, yes, you'll see a tablecloth in America occasionally, if it's Thanksgiving or something. But in Italy, you would never sit down to eat without a tablecloth on the table, or at the very least, large cloth placemats.
Mm-hmm.
Because the idea of eating directly onto a table, especially at a restaurant, a public restaurant, especially, but even in a home, you don't eat without something between your plate and the table. It's just not considered clean.
Interesting.
And then, of course, the cristalliera, which is a piece of furniture that has a glass front that you put all your little objects in that you've collected over the years, at the various weddings you've been to and baptisms, and very kitsch.
Yeah.
Very kitsch. And another very kitsch but very common thing that you see in Italy, in the houses, especially of older people, you'll see a papal blessing, a framed papal blessing hanging on the wall.
Huh.
Because most couples have been blessed they've had their family blessed by the Pope at least once in their life, and so they have the actual papal blessing.
Very, very interesting. Well, we should leave it there.
Yes.
And maybe we'll do another one, because now I'm going to think of I'm going to notice a million things. So we may have to do a follow-up on this. If something pops to your head, feel free to send us a note, either through the Patreon app or at bittersweetlifepodcast@gmail.com. But I'm going to be wandering around now and thinking of all the things I missed when I was living in Italy and vice versa ever since I've come back. All right. Well, thanks for supporting the show. Talk to you soon. Bye.
Bye.